James Acaster here, the host of James Acaster's Perfect Sounds on BBC Sounds. It's a podcast where we examine and celebrate brilliant and awesome albums, which is why I'm delighted that the Hyundai Mercury Prize have asked me to look at the shortlist for the 2021 Hyundai Mercury Prize. Joining me is Moses Boyd, a fantastic drummer, composer and band leader whose album Dark Matter was shortlisted for the 2020 Hyundai Mercury Prize. Thank you for joining me, man.
Pleasure to be here.
Is this weird for you, having been shortlisted last year? I guess you can empathise with how everyone will feel on this list.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting now being on the other side, and a year's gone by, yeah.
How do you think they'll be feeling now? How did you feel when you found out?
Man, it was such a complex array of emotions, like elation, fear, pride, joy.
Has anything changed since?
Yeah, definitely. I think from the moment you're public and you are, shortlisted, I definitely felt everything just go like that. The good thing about this award is like the average person that just loves music really kind of tunes in. It's like, oh, I'm going to listen to the shortlist today, and I was getting tagged and, a lot of interaction from all sorts of people that maybe wouldn't have come across my music.
So let's move on to this year's shortlist. I'm going to go left to right, top to bottom. That's
Efficient.
the best way to go, I think. Talk about ARLO Parks first. Collapsed in Sunbeams.
Lasted 2 months, could not hold my hand in public, felt their eyes judging.
I like the pose on the front.
It's strong. It's strong.
Are you familiar with ARLO Parks?
I'm very familiar with a lot of her stuff. It's been kind of incredible to see her rise to where she's got now, doing it independently, which is also another feat in itself.
She's been going since she was like 14 or something?
I think so, yeah. And what I love about her, it's just very honest. So yeah, great
It's
artist.
an album recorded in the pandemic as well. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily listen to it and think it was done under any restriction.
No,
she was restricted at all. It sounds like it could have been made any year. When you read that it was made under those conditions, I think it's even more impressive.
Incredible.
We go on to Berwyn now with demo tape /Vega.
Lately I've been thinking a lot. Maybe I'll always be a slave, maybe I'll never break these chains, maybe I need a twist of fate.
I think what I really love about everything I've heard so far is just so raw. There's so many artistic choices I love across the project where he's like, no, I'm gonna go this way. It's like a very cohesive piece of music that sounds, to me, completely him.
He does one thing and you think, oh, I know what direction this is going to go in. It just keeps on the wrong foot in you in a way that's really satisfying and giving you what you didn't know you wanted each time. Next along is Black Country New Road.
You've got great hips.
Really enjoyed it, I just loved the sort of instrumentation and the sounds. And I guess the production that went into the album. But, I'm, I guess, a new convert, really. I really enjoyed kind of just getting into it.
I mean, it's so tight all the way through. All the little stabs and stops and stuff, and this really jagged kind of instrumentals for the whole thing. There's a lot of British bands coming out now, kind of revitalising that proggy kind of sound that a lot of British bands used to do, and reinventing it and updating it for the modern day. I think this is the latest successful attempt at that. This group. Next up, Celeste, Not Your Muse.
Love is bad. Love is bad.
Have you been listening to this one? Because I think a lot of people have had this on heavy rotation, and old Johnny Come Lately here has just been getting into it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Very aware. I think it's a great body of work that kind of houses and showcased her voice in such a beautiful way.
That's what really jumped out at me when I was listening to it, was just every vocal line you feel like you're being carried somewhere different. Each song finds a different way of going, here's another aspect of my voice that I haven't introduced you to so far, and it keeps you engaged for the whole thing just through that one. I could listen to a whole album that is just her vocal. Promises by Floating Points, Pharoah Sanders and the London Symphony Orchestra. This is probably the one on the list that I've listened to the most. Such a good album to put on and just get completely lost in.
Big fan of Floating Points, who had a real pivotal role in my career. So I greatly respect and admire a lot of his music. And when this came out, I mean, Pharoah Sanders and the London Symphony Orchestra alone would have been enough for me to stop in my tracks. But to hear his pairing and how he's kind of really injected himself across this project. It's like such an amazing journey from start to finish. As just a music lover, it's hard not to love this record.
GHETTS with Conflict of
I
Interest.
know the pagans want to try to take things further. Try know the basics before you use that burner. Old school jump out gang, bang, pull up and stir her.
I loved it, man. I mean, I'm a huge GHETTS fan. What's beautiful about this album is like he's really put his heart on his sleeve and talked about his growth and what he's been through and really put it all in the music. In grime, in rap, in hip hop, you know, you don't often get to hear men talk about their growth as a human being. It's really beautifully done.
I grew up in Kettering, Northamptonshire, where there was not a grime scene. For me, like in recent years, I find so many more grime albums each year that I love now. And as someone who's like grown up alongside grime and has watched the evolution of the genre, does it feel like it's stepped up, or have people just started to take notice a bit more?
I think both.
Fur Wave by Hannah Peel. An artist that I didn't think I was familiar with, and then I realised I actually have listened to her 2016 album, because I've listened to every album that came out in 2016.
You know when something's just sonically like rich, it's like this is different, this is beautiful.
I was just like really like hit by the production and the textures on the album. It's like you could touch them.
For those that don't know, she was allowed to sample and reinterpret a KPM record of Delia Derbyshire, who famously wrote the Doctor Who theme tune, and she's like an electronic music pioneer. And I guess this album is a result of sort of reworking those samples, those recordings, and it's beautifully done.
Like Berwyn, she's someone who I'm going to go away and like really delve into more. Pink Noise by Laura MVULA.
I will give you all of my soul for your pleasure. I will give you everything that I own.
The third time on the shortlist for her. Pretty incredible. The last time she was on the shortlist was in 2016 with The Dreaming Room. And this is such a departure from that, while still completely having her own character just running through the whole album.
You know, the Grace Jones sort of influence is definitely very strong. You could see with the aesthetic as well as the sound, but I love that it's like unashamedly what it is, but still very much her.
Yeah, she's managed to reinvent herself again, but in a way that makes you want to dance, and like there's like a sexiness to all the music. And I do not say sexiness very much, but it's a sexy album. MOGWAI, As the Love Continues. They've been in the game a long time.
I think I just love to see bands, do you know what I mean, that stand the test of time, that can prove that longevity and develop over time.
There are some songs on this MOGWAI album, they remind me of like why I got into like indie music in my teens, and that kind of almost like crossover with grunge for some of the songs. It's nice when you hear an album that takes you back and goes, oh yeah, this is why. This is like when I first started loving music, and this sound still kind of resonates with me today. NUBYA GARCIA with Source. This album's very close to your heart, correct?
Correct. I've known this incredible young lady for many years, well over a decade now. She's a frequent collaborator of mine, and this album is a beautiful piece of music, you know, that really captures perfectly where she is and her journey, you know, that I know she's gone on creatively, artistically. Really pleased to see it on this year's shortlist.
Feels mad that it's her debut album. You really do feel like this is an artist who really knows themselves immediately.
And her compositions sound exactly like her, and a really unique, fresh voice.
SAULT, Untitled, Rise. I mean, incredibly prolific, mysterious group. I mean, they've released, I don't know, like 5 maybe albums in like...
The work rate's been immense, to be honest. Yeah, I think what I love most is how it is just about the music. You know, really listening to what they're sort of trying to say behind the songs, behind just even the titles of the album, everything, because they don't do press, they don't do interviews, so it's just like, no, here, listen to it.
By the time this video goes out...
Could be another one.
There could have been another 10 by now, just for a laugh. And finally, Wolf Alice with Blue Weekend. I really liked the production on the vocals, especially how they sound very small and yet still at the forefront of everything. I guess with rock music it might be tempting just to make the vocals as big as possible and pack a punch and stuff like that, and it was nice to kind of have a more subdued vocal that really like makes you listen to the lyrics.
No, definitely, and I think also, again, like I mentioned with MOGWAI, it's just great to have bands. Bands that you could follow the trajectory of their career, how it develops.
Previous winners of the Mercury Prize means that there's less pressure for them. I hope they don't feel that there's more pressure.
There shouldn't be pressure.
This is a victory lap, right? So there we have it. That's the 2021 Hyundai Mercury Prize Shortlist, and what a brilliant list it is too. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you about it, Moses. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
A few things to look out for with the Hyundai Mercury Prize. You can watch the winner being announced live on the BBC September 9th. Also, you can watch Jam Supernova or BBC Six Music interview everyone on the shortlist via their social media channels. You can watch all of it here, and everywhere around our faces and below the video. Until then, go away, listen to all these albums, familiarise yourself with them, discover new artists. There's so much out there to enjoy, so much new music getting made constantly, every single day. That will blow your mind. Thank you so much, Moses, for joining me.
Pleasure, man.
Everyone keep an eye out for everything this guy puts out in the future. It's incredible. Bye.